Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California with Morsels of a Thought number 1508. Ha. So, yesterday I went out to lunch with my favorite partner of, the kind of partner where you're partners in crime. Anyway, so we went out to lunch at a nice Vietnamese restaurant. Turns out I think the Vietnamese owners speak four languages. So it was interesting. It was very nice. Um, Stoics today, Monday. Today we are on Epictetus, and I thought we would get to the point and read some of what he said. We can go to the introductions at any time to get their flavors, but I think if we focus a little bit on something that he said, we can get something out of it today. Morsels of a Thought of Wisdom is here to give you something that you know would be the right thing to do, which is wisdom. Knowing the right thing to do is wisdom. And then the fortune cookie said, doing it is called virtue. So, given that the Stoics were big on virtue, I love them. So here we are. Get a bookmark. Mary, get a bookmark. Okay, here we are. 1.18 of Discourses in Book 1. That one should not get angry with people for their mistakes. This was translated by Robin Waterfield. Epictetus was this Roman slave turned philosopher turned teacher. So, in the ancient times. It's like strange that there would be slaves. You know, today, modern day slaves do exist. And I will say they exist in China. I will say that. I will say that. I will say that. I have said it. Okay, 1.18. That one should not get angry with people for their mistakes. Now, let's say I said that and it was a mistake. Don't get angry at me. 1. If what the philosophers, let's get to number 1. He says, if what the philosophers say is true, and not only is assent only ever prompted by the feeling that something is the case, and the withholding of assent by the feeling that something is not the case, and by Zeus, suspension of judgment by the feeling that something is uncertain, excuse me, 2, but also an inclination, excuse me while I give you some dead air so that I can water myself. We need to fill the bowl. Excuse me. Pardon me. Yes, this is very wise. Drinking water. Get lipstick all over the place. Sorry. Is this wise? Are these morsels of a thought? Oh, goodness gracious. I can't see. Oh, I forgot my glasses. They're up there. I'm not going to wear them. Number 2, but also an inclination to do something is prompted by the feeling that it's expedient for me to do it, and if it's impossible for me to judge something as in my best interests and yet desire something else, and impossible to judge one action as appropriate and yet have an inclination to do something else, if all this is true, why are we still so commonly angry with people? Number 3, but there are thieves and robbers, aren't there? What does it mean to call people thieves and robbers? They're they're mistaken about good and bad. So, do they deserve anger or pity? Show them where they've gone wrong, and you'll see them desist from their mistakes. If they don't see what you're getting at, they remain bogged down in their mistaken beliefs. 5. But shouldn't a thief or an adulterer be eliminated just for being who he is? No, and you'd do better to phrase your question like this. 6. Should we do away with this person because he's mistaken and misled about matters of supreme importance and because he's become blind, not in the sense that he's lost the ability to distinguish white and black by sight, but because he's lost the mental ability to distinguish good and bad? 7. If you put the question like this, you'll realize how inhumane it is and see that it's no different from saying, so shouldn't we kill this blind person or this deaf person? 8. If a person is injured most by the loss of the most important things, and if the most important thing in every individual is right will, what's the point in getting angry with someone if he loses it? 9. Listen, man, if, unnatural though it is, you feel obliged to adopt an attitude towards someone else's troubles, you should pity him rather than hate him. Let's have no more of this readiness to take offense and hate people. Number 10. Think who you are, man. Do you really want to express sentiments that one expects to hear only from the masses, such as curse these vile and loathsome people? Well, all right, but how come you've suddenly abandoned good sense and are now angry with other people? 11. Anyway, why do we get angry? Because we value the stuff others take from us. I mean, look, no place no value on your clothes, and you don't get angry for someone for at steal for some at someone for stealing them. Place no value on your wife's attractions, and you don't get angry for someone for seducing her. Number 12, you need to appreciate that thieves and adulterers don't fall into the category of what's up to you, but into the category of things that are external to you and aren't up to you. If you dismiss them and consider them worthless, who can make you angry? And for as long as you give them significance, be angry with yourself, not with them. 13. Consider the following scenario. You have nice clothes, your neighbor doesn't. You have a window onto the street and you want to dry them. Your neighbor, in his ignorance about what constitutes good for a human being, thinks, as you do too, that it consists in having nice clothes. 14. So he'll come and steal them, won't he? If you let greedy people see that you've got a cake and you start to gobble it down on your own, aren't you inviting them to snatch it away from you? Don't tempt them. Do without a window onto the street. Don't put your clothes out to dry. 15. Something similar happened. Yeah. Something similar happened to me too just the other day. There's an iron lamp by my household shrine, and I heard the window make a noise and ran downstairs to find the lamp had been stolen. I reasoned that the thief had been moved by an inclination he found compelling. All right then, I said, tomorrow I'll buy one of clay. 16. The point is that one can only lose what one has. I've lost my toga. Yes, because you had a toga. I've got a headache. But you don't have a horn ache, do you? So why are you annoyed? Only things we possess can be lost or ache. 17. But the tyrant will chain what? Your leg. He'll remove what? Your head. So what can't be chained or removed? Your will. That's why men of old recommended the precept, know yourself. 18. What we have to do then, by the gods, is practice on little things and move on from this starting point to greater things. 19. My head aches. Don't say, poor me. My ear aches. Don't say, poor me. I'm not saying you don't have the right to complain, but don't complain inwardly. And if the slave is slow in bringing the poultice, don't cry out and lose your composure. Don't say, everyone hates me. Who wouldn't hate someone who carries on like that? Do you remember the book Lord of the Flies? Was that guy named Piggy? Oh, because of my asthma, my asthma. He was just going on like that. Who wouldn't hate someone who carries on like that? That's funny. Number 20. Now, from now on, rely on these principles and walk upright and free. Upright and free. Don't rely on the size of your body like an athlete. You don't have to be invincible in the way that a donkey is. Number 21. Who is invincible then? Anyone who isn't sidetracked by things that aren't subject to his will. And so next I set myself to understand what might happen in every possible situation as I would for an athlete. Quote, he's powered his way through the first round. What about the second? What if it's blazing hot? How will he perform in the Olympics? End quote. 22. So likewise, it's so cool they had the Olympics. They started them. Number 22. I mean, the Greeks started the Olympics, not the Romans. But anyway, number 22. So likewise for our invincible person. All right, if you offer him money, he'll reject it. But what if it's a girl that's an offer? What if it's after dark? What if it's fame? What if it's an insult? What if it's praise? What if it's death? He can't be defeated by any of these. 23. What if it's blazing hot or the effect is the same? He's had some wine. What if he's in a black mood? What if he's asleep? This is the man I'd call an invincible athlete. Yeah. Oh boy. Here's a picture. I'm going to read this part first before you see the picture. Figure 2, representation of the Great Chain of Being from Diego de Valadez, 1533 to 1582. Well, he only lived 49 years. Rhetorica Christiana, done in 1579. This is a medieval illustration of the Scala Naturae that lies in the background of some of Epictetus's remarks. Typically, in medieval times, the Great Chain of Being, the Great Chain of Being, as it was called then, ran as follows: God, angels, monarchs, commoners, animals, plants, inanimate objects. Okay, I think that was universal. Anyway, so this is the picture. Gods, monarchs, commoners, animals, plants, inanimate objects. Interesting. Can you see the top? And then you see the monarchs, and then you see the commoners, and then you see the animals, and you see the plants, and then you see the inanimate objects. Oh, angels, I forgot. Gods, angels, then monarchs, then commoners, then animals, then plants, then inanimate objects. There we go. All right, angels. Let's not forget the angels. Let's not forget the angels. Let us not forget the angels. Something about being kind to strangers. I think it's somewhere it says that be kind to strangers, for those have sometimes helped angels in disguise. So you never know. Number 1.15. The prospect held out by philosophy. 1. When someone asked Epictetus to tell him how he could get his brother to stop being angry with him, 2. He said, philosophy doesn't promise to help anyone get anything external. If it did, it would be taking on something extraneous to the material that's proper to it. Just as wood is a carpenter's material and bronze a sculptor's, so each individual's life is material for the art of living. 3. What about my brother's life then? Again, that's the material for his art of living. But as far as your art of living is concerned, it's an external, like farmland, health, and popularity. Philosophy doesn't hold out the prospect of your getting these things. Number 4. Under all circumstances, I shall keep the command center aligned with nature. Whose command center? That of the individual in whom I am to be found. Number 5. So how am I to stop him from being angry with me? Bring him here and I'll talk to him, but I've nothing to say to you about his anger. At this, the man who was consulting him said, what I want to know is how I can remain in accord with nature even if he refuses to make peace with me. Anything of any importance takes time, said Epictetus. Even a bunch of grapes or a fig. If what you're telling me now was, I want a fig, I'd reply, be patient. First let the tree flower and then fruit, and then wait for the fruit to ripen. 8. So given that it takes time for even a fig tree fruit to mature, and it doesn't happen overnight, are you wanting to get the fruit of human intelligence so quickly and easily? You shouldn't expect that, even if I were to promise you it myself. 1.16 On Providence. 1. It should occasion no surprise that all other creatures have their bodily needs provided for them, not just food and drink, but a place to sleep as well, and that they have no need of footwear, bedding, or clothing, while we need all these things. 2. They don't exist for themselves, you see, but for service, so there'd have been no point in creating them with other needs. 3. Imagine what it would be like for us to have to care not only for ourselves, but also for our sheep and donkeys to make sure that they had clothing and footwear, food and drink. 4. No, just as soldiers report to their commanding officer already shod, clothed, and armed, and it would be dreadful if the tribune had to go around finding shoes and clothing for his men, so when nature created animals for service, it made sure that they were equipped and ready, in need of no further care. That's why one small child with a stick can drive a flock of sheep. 6. But as things are, instead of being grateful, because we don't have to care for these creatures as much as we do for ourselves, we accuse God of failing us. 7. And yet, by Zeus and all the gods, take any single feature of creation, and on its own, it's enough evidence of providence to satisfy anyone as long as he's a respectful and appreciative kind of person. Number 8. I'm not talking about large-scale phenomena at the moment, but consider just the fact that milk comes from grass, cheese from milk, and wool from an animal's hide. Who made this happen? Who thought it up? No one? What a benighted and disgraceful state one must be in to say that. Number 9. All right, but let's leave aside nature's obvious works and look at its more incidental products. 10. What could be more useless than the hairs on a chin? Well, but hasn't nature made even them serve the most fitting purpose possible? Don't they allow us to tell male from female? 11. Doesn't this natural endowment automatically enable each of us to call out from afar, I'm a man, approach me as a man, talk to me as a man, no need to look any farther, the signs are plain to see. 12. And what about women? Not only has nature made the tone of their voices more delicate, but it has also done away with their chin hair. You disagree? Humans should have been left without distinguishing marks, with each person having actually to declare his manhood? 13. But how fine and fair and grand a sign chin hair is! How much more beautiful it is than a cock's crest! How much more magnificent than a lion's mane! 14. And so we should preserve the signs given us by God, not discard them. Insofar as it's up to us, we shouldn't confuse the sexes, but keep them distinct. 15. Are these the only works of providence that relate to us? The question is rather whether there's any way to praise them all or describe them in words that do them justice. If we were in our right minds, isn't that precisely what we should be doing in public and in private, glorifying God, singing his praises, and recounting all the ways in which he has benefited us? 16. As we dig and plow and eat, shouldn't we be glorifying God? Great is God, who supplied us with these tools with which we work the land. Great is God, who gave us hands and the ability to swallow, and a stomach, who gave us the ability to grow without being conscious of it, and to breathe while we're asleep. 18. That's how we should sing his praises in every instance. And the most important and most sacred of the hymns we should sing is the one thanking him for his gift to us of the ability to understand all this and make methodical use of it. So we will continue with this next week. Discourses Book 1, Epictetus, The Complete Works, translated by Robin Waterfield, also edited and translated. Handbook, Discourses, and Fragments. So we will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a rules day. Poop earrings and the uniform. You know, the uniform for the women is a black dress, black pantyhose, high heels if possible. Lipstick. Yeah, we can't forget the lipstick. Yep. So there we are. Okay. Old Kinderhook. Bye bye.